My name is Anne-Marie Adamick, and I'm an English as a second language teacher for Wishy-Bosies, and I currently work at Schuylerville Elementary School. When I was a kid, sort of the main careers I remember being interested in, when I was in middle school, I was very interested in becoming an astronomer. And I was also interested for a period of time in maybe becoming a concert pianist, which, that's a lot more work than I think I was ready to do. The idea of teaching never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. In fact, I didn't even know that ESL existed as a career. As I was growing up, I remember in middle school, this girl moved into our neighborhood from Argentina. And she lived about 3 or 4 houses down. And I was so excited. I wanted to become her friend so that I could help her learn to speak English. And then in high school, I would meet, exchange students, or there was a girl from China in my high school. And I was very interested in becoming friends with these people so that I could maybe teach them, help them learn English. And it never occurred to me that maybe this was something that would be good for me to do as a career. So in deciding on a college major, all of that thinking came out of the fact that I had taken French in high school, and I had discovered that I loved languages and I had a facility for languages. And I thought, wow, I want to study the most difficult language. I want to study the most difficult language that I can find. And the two ideas that sort of occurred to me were Chinese and Arabic. I was like, you know what? Those sound really far away from English, and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to learn one of those languages. And in looking around at different colleges, there was a Chinese studies program right at SUNY Albany at the time, and I decided that I would study Chinese, and I went there. And my idea was that I would learn to speak Chinese, and I would become a translator, an interpreter, and I thought that this would happen, quickly, and maybe only 4 or 5 years of studying Chinese, and I would be ready to be an interpreter. And as anyone who studies Chinese will tell you, it takes a lot more work than 4 or 5 years to go from not having grown up with the language to anything resembling a professional level of proficiency. So I studied at SUNY Albany, and I went every summer to take additional classes to sort of push myself along in accumulating credits. So when it got to be the 1987-88 year, that was technically my last year of college. I had enough credits under my belt that I finished college in 3 years. So 87 to 88, I went on the overseas study abroad program, and I was at Beijing University in Beijing in mainland China. So I arrive at Beijing University, and this teacher comes to, they sort of put you in the dorm, and the teacher comes to gather you the next day, and you're jet lagged and you're wretched, and he takes me to this office where I'm supposed to have a conversation about what level my Chinese is and what classes I should be taking, and I couldn't understand a word, not one word. It was late July, early August, and places in China didn't have air conditioning in those days. And I was terrified, and I will never forget talking to this teacher who spoke with a heavy Shanghai accent, which made him even more unintelligible to me. And I just remember 2 streams of perspiration coming down under my shirt. It was one of the most terrifying conversations of my life. I still don't know what we talked about. After I came back from China, I had no idea what I wanted to do, right? So I came back, I was basically done with my undergraduate degree. I had done it in 3 years. No idea what I wanted to do. I don't know. And one day, I got a phone call from my former junior high school because they had heard that I had gone to college and learned to speak some level of Chinese. And they had a new student enrolling who spoke Chinese. And would I come and help, sort of help with the enrollment process? Sure. So I went, and here I am with my old guidance counselor in the guidance office. The guidance counselor asked if I would be willing to walk this student through his first day of school. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I told the kid, I'll be back, whatever day it was he was going to start. I'll come and I'll help you on your first day. So we went, and we have his schedule, and then we went to, I don't know, math class or something like that. We went to these different classes, and I looked at his schedule and I said, okay, fourth period, you have something called ESL, and I don't know what that is, but it's over in the other building. So we're going to go to whatever this class is. And at the end of third period, this is like walking to my destiny. We walked over to the other building, and we went in this classroom, and I said to the teacher, what is this class? And she said, this is English as a second language. I said, oh, okay. And I sat there and I watched what the teacher was doing with them. And it was like no exaggeration, it's like a lightning bolt hit me in that room. And I said, oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do. And at the end of class, the bell rang, and I jumped up out of my seat, and I said to the teacher, what is this? And how do you get to do this job? And she said, oh, well, you need a master's degree, you need certification in ESL, and there's a program at UAlbany. And I said, okay. And the very next day, I went down because you had to get a paper catalog in those days. I drove down to the university and I picked up their course catalog, and there it was. And I took it home and I opened it up in front of my parents, and with a pen or something, I circled it. I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And I started the coursework to become an ESL teacher. Between my experience of arriving in China and trying to register myself for class and being terrified and remembering my heart pounding and the sweat dripping off me of how nervous I was, and then what it's like to make these embarrassing mistakes or being stuck in situations and you can't communicate, you can't get yourself out of this jam that you're in. That has been the idea that I've taken forward into my career, working as an ESL teacher with kids in, U.S. public schools. How does that 8 or 9-year-old kid feel on his or her first day of school? And, how much are they sweating? How much is their heart pounding? How nervous are they to be here? How many embarrassing mistakes are they going to make along the way? And I don't know, it's just been something that I've thought about over the years, and I feel like it's helped me become good at bringing in those new kids and getting them to calm down and getting them to see that this classroom is going to be a place where you can relax and everything's going to be at your level, everything's going to be geared toward you here, and yeah, you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes you'll make a funny mistake and we'll all laugh and, we'll move on. So even though those experiences were not funny, or, in the moment, I think they were very valuable in the long run.